FilmStruggles is an experience-based podcast where we ask all the questions an early filmmaker would make.
With a new guest every week, from experts to people that are starting just like us.
We cover different topics like motivation, work balance, networking, and so much more.
We discuss what to do, what not to do, and how to turn struggles into action.
I am Claudia.
And I am Gabriel. Welcome to FilmStruggles. How much is too much and how little is too little? Putting together a pitch can be way more intense and nerve-wracking than you think. On today's episode of FilmStruggles, we discuss lookbooks, pitching, anxiety, listening to whale sounds, and we almost end up crying because of our guest.
Today, we're talking to Heather Perluso, a freelance director on multiple short films mixing sci-fi and the dark depths of womanhood. Heather is an advocate for balanced gender representation on and off the screen. She directed the 2018 Crazy 8's Hatch, and she's a winner of the MPS Short Film Award at the 2018 Whistler Film Festival with her project Wildflower. So we asked her a few questions about the process before pitching those projects.
So just to start, pitching, I really love pitching, especially when I have imagery behind me to show slides and creating collages and things like that, mainly because I have a graphic design background, and it's really helpful for me to explain. I feel like I make a lot more sense with images than speaking.
Yeah, I understand that.
And that's why I love pitching. So I really don't understand why people don't like it. But I wanted to hear about you. Like, do you enjoy pitching? How was your first experiences pitching?
Well, I guess like my first real, like when you're pitching in film school to your classmates and stuff. I mean, like, I've never really been a fan of standing in front of people and like speaking at all. Which is weird because like I was a musician before this, so I used to play in bars all the time, and it never gets easier. Like if you look at like any photos of me doing that, like it's like where's Waldo, like where's the bottle of Pepto-Bismol that's Heather has sitting around her? So I just like throw up all the time. So it makes me really nervous. But I think that's what's so great about pitching is that it really does put you outside of your comfort zone. And we're so used to being behind the camera and behind all like enemy lines and, you know, putting yourself out there and being the voice of your film, I think is actually really important, and it creates kind of like what you, when you get to make it, that you earned it, you know, that people saw you, not just your idea, and I think that that's a cool thing about it.
Do you have any like first questions in mind when you're going to prepare a pitch or something like, oh, I need to translate this into a presentation per se? Do you have any like a script that you follow before creating?
Yeah, lots of scripts. And then it's actually really helpful to, once you write it down, get a group of people that you're close with, if that's your producers, if that's teachers that you knew from film school. I've done like basically anybody. I've done it to stuffed animals. It's really good to get feedback because sometimes you get so in your head about all the things that you want to say, and like you know, there's sometimes a time limit on how long you can pitch for. So you really want to make sure that by the end of your pitch, the people that you're talking to, whom it's probably best that they don't have any idea about the film, by the end of it, they know what you're talking about. And if at the end of it, they don't know what your film is about, they don't know why you're making it, then you have to go back and correct. And I've had that happen many times where my first draft, I've been like, this is great. And then like I pitch it to people and they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So it's like, it's good to get feedback. It's super important because we think we know everything, right, as directors, but we don't.
So for example, Heather, because something that Gabriel said, that he likes pitching, but he like, at least for me, I also like the aspect of putting together a video and cut some scenes so you kind of like make your point across. But it's very hard when you move from paper to talking in front of someone and making that point across, because I don't know if all the time you have the opportunity to have visual aid, Also, like you said, you need that feedback so you can make some adjustments. But just the fact that you already have all these movie in your head, but the fact that telling that to people, how is that for you? How can you put that, even for me right now, just asking this question, I'm going all over the place. So how can you make that point across with people when you're pitching?
Well, that's exactly it. I think that's a good point that you brought up, that we already know exactly what the movie is in our head. And when we talk about it, sometimes we talk about it as if everybody else in the world knows what our movie is and why we're making it and what it's about and the arc and all these things. And we have to take a step back and realize that nobody knows what the movie is about the way we do. So we have to kind of break down the film to its like core about, just ask yourself, what is the movie about? And so ask yourself that from a third party perspective. If I'm watching this movie, what is this movie about? Well, this movie is about this. Well, that's a great place to start with, trying to help people understand from start to finish, because it's so easy to get caught up in and to lose important pieces because you're so far ahead in your own mind. So it's good to just like wipe the slate clear. Like, it sometimes helps me to like write it down on a board or something and like create like little bubble charts and stuff about the points that I want to talk about. And pitching is different for everybody, and every movie kind of needs a different sort of pitch, every genre. And every director and filmmaker has their own connection to the film, and at the end of the day, you need to ask yourself, why am I making this film? What is important about this film to me, and why am I the person to tell the story on top of everything else?
Yeah.
I'm really curious to know about like what do you think it's a good pitch? Because I feel like you can easily see like two different types of pitches. Like one where, especially when the director is doing it, where like they're so connected to the story that it really, the way that they speak, it looks at like it's really personal. It comes from a really personal place. But at the same time, you can really come across a pitch where the person is addressing all the technical issues and all the alternatives to solve all those problems. So is it possible to find a middle ground between the two? Or is it like something completely different where you can like, oh, this is a really good pitch?
Maybe also it also depends on who you're pitching it to, right?
Yeah.
And it depends, like there's always a lot of factors to take into consideration. And technical stuff is important. Like when we pitched Hatch to Crazy Eights, there were technical things that we did need to consider, and we did need to convince the jury that we were going to be able to pull off a puppet alien, that we were going to be able to pull off visual effects. So sometimes if there's technical things that are imperative to your film being successful, you do need to work that out beforehand and communicate that in your pitch, because those are things that people are going to start to weigh. Like, did they have answers to that? Because these are big parts of what they're trying to sell to us, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't a good pitch, I think, is just you got to know your story. You got to know what your strengths and weaknesses are. You need to address them beforehand. And if you feel like you don't know, well, you do now. Like, just make it work, because it's not like, you just have to roll with it. And before anything else, people want to love you. They want to be on your side. Like, nobody's sitting in a pitch wanting you to fail. Like, they want to know, they want you to convince them. And so, while being mostly, you have to be truthful. Yeah, just know what you're talking about, and be passionate, and if you're struggling to find a connection with the story, because you don't always write your own films, right? You have to do that work as a director to find a reason that you should be the one that's making this film.
Also, for example, I like what you said, that it's not only that you're pitching the story, but you're also pitching yourself in that sense. I don't know. So that way, when you are, for example, not all the time you would have this specific outlet of like, okay, I'm standing here in front of a jury and I'm gonna make my point of my movie and try to convince them that I'm the right person for that. But for example, there are some other places, I don't know, like in a film festival, or I don't know, like in an event or something, that you need to be prepared in case you like, I don't know, walk into someone and then they ask you like, so are you working on something, and then you're ready to pitch. But also uh, to show your personality there, and everything also within in a very short amount of time, because people are talking to everyone at the same time. So I don't know, have you ever been in that situation, and if so, what do you do? And because sometimes Gabriel and I, we have been in that situation, and
Yep.
we just freak out, and
It's
we're like,
complete panic and anxiety and nerves and ugh.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it is nerve-wracking, and like those events, while they serve a purpose, are exactly that line that you just said. So are you working on anything? That is the definition of what these events are, because everybody secretly wants to pitch their own stuff, but they have to ask you first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like you need to, I mean, to be prepared for that. I don't know, I'm terrible at talking to people like in a social setting. So whenever someone asks me, is there something I'm working on, it's good to have business cards too, to have those. It took me like, actually I never even printed them myself, my producer got me them. It's good to have those on you, because you know it creates a connection between you and whoever you're talking to. And when you're pitching to someone kind of impromptu like that, just be real and yourself. Like, don't kind of sink into that mode of like, okay, this is an opportunity for me, because like you're in a social setting. So it's just like, oh, well, I have like these movies that I'm working on. And they go, oh, okay, well, tell me about a couple of them. And then, you know, you probably decided which ones are your best options to kind of pitch to people. Make sure that you know which ones you want to pitch and that you know what it's about. And then, yeah, just it should be casual and kind of a conversation rather than like a formal pitch. And the more pressure you put on yourself, the
worse it comes out.
Yeah. It's just, you know, we're all people, and we have to remember that, like, whether they're an executive of a production company or, you know, just one of your friends, everybody's just trying to connect on some level. So you have to remember that, you know, we're all, just talk to them as if you were a friend. That's how I would do it. I don't know if that's correct. I mean, no one's really ever, like, I've never gotten anything from that. So.
But speaking from that, like just talking like they're normal people and don't not putting that much pressure over yourself. Do you have any good luck rituals that you do before pitching to a person or going to a pitch session or something like that?
I wouldn't say that I have like a specific ritual. Usually it's just me, like, okay, so Crazy 8's the first time me and Robin were in like a sound, like the editing suite. And so we just started watching these motivational TED Talks about how to talk in front of people. And then we just turned off all the lights and we put on these whale sounds and we lay on the ground.
Oh.
And we just like tried to zen out, which, you know, it depends how comfortable you are talking in front of people. So for me, that's really difficult. So I need to find a way to distract myself from the situation, you know, and that can be moving around, like jumping up and down, just doing something to exert all of the anxiety elsewhere. And yeah, I mean, it's always good to be prepared. Like if you do, like a lot of people write scripts, some people don't, I do. But then once you get up and you're pitching, all of a sudden you just forget everything. So it's also important to not just rehearse, but like to know straight up, like do a separate pitch aside from the pitch you prepared, as if someone was like what you said, like you're meeting someone for the first time. What are the points that you're going to say to these people? Because if you get up there and you forget what you're going to say, then you have to kind of revert back to just your knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, whale noises or
It's very funny.
It's a weird, yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna try it.
Try it. I forget who it was, but there's a TED Talk about, it was talking about how to stand, like you do like the Superman pose.
Oh yeah, I think it's like powerful poses, something like that.
Yeah, powerful poses. So it actually does help. I don't know to what extent, but you know, anything that you can use to trick your mind into thinking like
You're okay, you're
Yeah.
safe. Yeah.
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 A lot of people hear from each other, like I hear Gabriel's pitch, I hear your pitch, and I don't know, like you, and then you have, for example, a business card. Gabriel for maybe didn't, so maybe you're easier to remember because of that. But specifically, talking about pitch, how do you think it's the best way to stand out and make a pitch memorable? Like, do you have to dress a certain way, or do you have to do something kind of like super random, or at least what have you made to make your pitch stand out? Or is it like something ordinary, or you go completely out of the box?
From what I've seen so far, gimmicks don't really work. So people who just try to like create these like shows and like
Uh-huh.
it kind of distracts from the purpose that you're there. You're selling a movie, you're not putting on a show, right? So for me, what has worked, or I guess has worked, is that I mean, it's lucky for me that I've written all the films that have been successfully chosen from the pitch process. And so from that point, I can really draw into my emotions. And for me, and from the feedback that I've received after pitching, is that what has made my pitches stand out is that, you know, I believe in what I'm saying, and what a lot of my movies have ulterior motives that are socially or politically driven. So it's something that I'm passionate about, and when you know when people get passionate about something, then you really start to feel what you're saying, and when people watch you feel so much about what you're talking about and that you believe in it that much, it becomes easier for them to be a part of what you're trying to communicate. So, but I mean, like that's different, I guess, if you're selling like a comedy or like a crazy, you know, monster movie, you know. So it's different for everybody, but it is important to be passionate, and people see that when you get up on stage. I mean, like I've cried during 2 pitches. Like that's a
Oh
lot.
my god.
I was like, I'm not gonna cry, I'm not gonna cry. But then when you start talking about it and you remember why you're saying what you're saying, if it's honest and true to you, you do get emotional sometimes, because sometimes it's not just a movie, it's your career, it's your past, it's your future, it's just a combination of all these things that you're trying to put into your work. And who's the best person to make that show and have people understand that is you. So they need to feel like you're genuine.
Oh my god, you're gonna make me cry.
Yeah.
You do it.
Then all of a sudden it's a crying session. It's not a podcast.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Heather, how you do it?
No, but I really resonate with what you just said. I don't think I ever cried pitching or like just talking about a story, but Claudia knows this. Every time that I'm on set directing, I cry for some reason.
And I cry with him, so
yeah, and then we cry. We go to a corner, we cry together. Then we go.
We're all
back.
criers. That's awesome.
Yep.
But it shows that you care, and like
exactly.
God, there's so many people now that just like it's just a job for them, and you know we're little fish in the pond, so it is a big deal for us, and we shouldn't take these opportunities lightly. I don't, and I know you guys don't take these opportunities lightly, and I think it's not like people can call it whatever they want, but it's just hungry. We're hungry to tell our stories and to succeed, and that's I think that's what we're lacking. That's what this industry needs, is people who are just hungry to tell the truth about themselves and show a light that people may not have seen before, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. It's really good that you said all those things, because I kind of want to go towards your latest experience pitching, which is, I assume it was Wildflower in Whistler Film Festival. Do you want to share anything, like your process preparing to that, the day, how you were feeling? If you were also one of those who black out right after speaking
it kind of
publicly.
Like that. Well, that's it with these I've never pitched in front of that many people before.
Oh.
I've never really spoken in front of that many people before. So with so much on the line, yeah, it was kind of like a blackout moment. I just kind of was tunnel vision at that point. But preparing for it, what I did was I wrote down my pitch and I pitched it to a couple of teachers, a couple of producers. And the first time I pitched it, they were just like, I don't know what your movie is. And it sounded super robotic. We had like, I was so lost. I was trying to absorb all the information that you were telling me, but you were talking so fast and nothing was really sinking in. So you need to remember that we're talking to people. It's sometimes it's just like, just get it out and then that's it. But at the end of the day, people need to actually retain what you're saying, right? So that was a really helpful note because I know that I do that. And so I reworked the script a few times of what I wanted to say. And the night before, even I pitched to my producers, and they were just like, it's still robotic. Take those beats, feel what you're saying, get in the moment. And it's hard sometimes because, like I said, you're so laser focused on getting your point across that you forget that it should be conversational. So that was, I spent the whole night just panicking and like rehearsing and just pacing around. I threw up like an hour before I went on to the pitch. And then like I asked them when I got there if I could go in like this small closet that they had beside the stage, and I was just in there just like, oh my god, just like panicking. And then I got up there and I was like, with all the lights in your face and everything, and it's like you either show up and do it or just you went through all that, right? You went through all that stress and all that work and all that trouble, and here is your opportunity. So it's like you can let yourself get in your own way, or you can compose yourself and do what you know, which is exactly like that's what we know, right? As filmmakers, we know our movies, so just
say it.
Say it. Exactly. But it works out. And like I feel, and the thing too that people need to know about pitching, because we always celebrate our successes, right? But at the same time, I've lost a lot of pitches. Like I've pitched many times where I haven't got it, never in the room. So I feel like that's probably my strength, is I can convince people if I'm there. But if I'm not, sometimes you're not there, and you need to have, like what you said, Gabriel, with visuals and with your pitch package, because stuff like Harold Greenberg and Story Hive and everything, you don't always have the opportunity for them to get to know you. So you
face to face and then introduce the story, right?
Exactly. So you need to also know how to market your film in the form of a package, which it's, I don't know what your guys' experience is, because like I guess since you have a background in graphic design, you probably tend to gravitate more towards trying to find strong visuals, trying to recreate kind of how you want the tone of the film to be. That's kind of the same thing that I do. And it's just important that if you're not there, that you're communicating exactly what you would say in person on a page.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I really like it. It's definitely my favorite part. I love prepping because I love speculation and like, oh, we can do this, and like just adding and adding and adding, and then I need someone to edit me. I really also love putting together like a lookbook. And my first lookbook that I did was, of course, in film school. And I don't know what is the regular number of pages, but mine was like 80 something pages. Because I went the extra mile, because I had so many ideas. I wanted to say so much. It worked, but I don't know if that's like the proper way to do it. Do you also have this feeling of like you need to add someone to edit yourself, or you would edit yourself?
I am very much a control freak in the fact of like, I don't really, when it comes to pitch packages, I don't really let anybody edit me. I just kind of go, here it is. Which is probably not a good idea. I probably should have someone look over what I'm doing. But I'm not a very vocal person. Like I'm not a very social person. I'm not very extroverted. So where I find my strength is on the page and writing. And I spend so many hours just like perusing the internet trying to find images, and that's where I feel comfortable. And so it can be 80 pages, it can be 8 pages. I mean, like, I've never pitched to like a network or anything, or like a big company or producer. So I don't know honestly what they would look for. What I hear is just kind of like, it's mostly based off of like a small treatment and your script, right? If you win, you get to make a movie. If not, there's so many other outlets you get to pitch your movie to, and practice and practice, and practice is good, and losing is good, because you need to be knocked down before you really understand what it takes to, and feel humbled and deserving when you do get those opportunities.
And appreciating the opportunity later, right?
Exactly.
Speaking of that, like the failure aspect of it, do you have any like good advice that you received during those moments that really made you push for like the extra mile and the extra bit of energy for like the next round or the next pitch or the next project?
Well, the ones that I have been rejected from were mostly ones that you would submit. So it's usually pretty rare that you get any feedback as to why you didn't get accepted. Sometimes it's just the content isn't right for the program, or it's usually like it's usually not you. It's not your film. There's nothing wrong with your film, unless there is, but you know, usually it's not that. It's just that it didn't fit, or there was something that year that was better suited, that was more feasible, that made more sense culturally and in the climate of the world that we're seeing. And it's important to remember that no doesn't mean you're not good. It means that it wasn't right for this. And you can, and you just need to find, like, it's just putting in the work and pitching and pitching and pitching. Unfortunately, at this stage in our careers, right, you just need to keep putting yourself out there, because somebody, if you really are passionate about what you want to do, someone will see that at some point, and they will give you the opportunity that you're looking for. Because if you don't give up, then you give other people a reason to continue to have faith in you, and to continue to, you know, be a support system and give you opportunities. So it is actually valuable to not get it sometimes, because it gives you that edge to take that time and reconsider everything that you did, and really focus on what you're trying to say, because maybe you didn't say it right that time, and that gives you perspective for the next time. And if, you know, so I think it is almost more important to lose sometimes. Well, like, in film school, you guys were saying that you guys didn't really know what to ask and stuff, and I kind of experienced that too, because especially, like, I didn't know anything about film before going to film school, so I didn't really know what to ask, because I didn't know what was going to happen after, right? So, like, what were things like that you guys have learned since then that, like, maybe you think is valuable to other people who are kind of starting out right now?
Wow, the tables have turned.
Well, let's see.
I'm flipping the table.
Let me see. I don't know. For me, when it was time to pitch, for finals, I hesitated so for the longest time if my idea was worth it. Not that I could do it or not, but I always kind of hesitate if my idea is good enough, because you hear all these other people that they have been working their ideas since the beginning of the year, or and then you come with your idea, but it's not as maybe as prepared or as well thought of as the other ones, or I mean, at least that's what I thought. And I don't know, like, I was very comfortable being, I don't know, like another role, and not being kind of like a key position, right? And it took me, like, I don't know, a lot of guts, and a lot of, I don't know, like, because I was panicking. I was seriously panicking of just Claudia, it's pitching her idea, like, just have that opportunity. I don't know, I felt that I didn't like kind of like deserve it. But the moment that I say, okay, here's my idea, and like seriously, I put my email like 2 minutes before the deadline. Like I thought of that long, and but the moment that I pitch it, I just went for it, and uh, it didn't matter if I win or lose. Like just the fact of me standing, like to stand up in front of everyone and say my idea and say, okay, this is what I want to do and this is why I can do it. I don't know, I felt that I could really pour all my thoughts there, and I stopped thinking it's my idea worth it, because I was so I don't know, so happy and excited that I didn't thought of the idea of winning and losing. I just wanted to be in front and have that experience of how well can I speak in front of everyone and get my point across. So that was for me, just to, I don't know, like that fact of thinking of my ideas are not worth it until you put it out there, and then even if I didn't get it, I still have that project that I want to do it, and Gabriel has been pushing me to do it.
I think for me it's very similar, but not about the ideas. I tend to put my work in front of me, which is not the right thing to do. So when I get feedback for my work, I usually apply that to myself, and then I feel like, oh, of course this is happening because I am not the right person to do this, and why did I ever think I was able to do this? So my main struggle after film school was always reminding me of like, hey, just chill and calm down. You're just trying to do something. It doesn't mean that you're saving your life or anyone else's life. Just relax. It's gonna be fine. And I have to do this very constantly, and it sucks, but it's the process. It's the journey, right? That's why like I really resonate with what you said. Like it's not because they don't like you. Maybe because your story is not the right story for that moment, or maybe it's not that program is not the right one. And this is something that I feel like we should be talking more about that in like film sets or just with film friends or in film school. Like, yes, it is your baby, your project is your baby. You're trying to create a career and make your name out of it, but at the same time, you're not gonna die if if you don't get
If you
it.
don't
Like
do it.
just
Hopefully.
just like hopefully nothing bad would physically happen to you if you don't get it. And that's a real struggle. And speaking of struggle and being in the podcast named Film Struggles, we wanted to ask you, what is your biggest struggle in this industry in general, not only related to pitches or pitch packaging or anything?
Well, what both of you said is very true to me as well. I am my own worst enemy all the time. It's it's hard to want something so much and not feel like, even when you get the opportunity, to feel so afraid of actually doing it, and so it's just procrastinating and like putting it off because you're just so afraid that the decision that you decide making is going to be the wrong one, and then it's going to ruin your career, and then it's just like a snowball effect of everything. And I've always had issues with overthinking and anxiety and like panic, and truthfully, I feel like I have caused myself more problems than there would have been if I had just had confidence in myself. So it's important to remember that people want to believe in you, and so you need to believe in yourself, as hard as that is sometimes. You have to really look at the work that you've done and the stories that you've created, and you have to find the value in them, and you have to really believe that you deserve to have these opportunities, because like they always say, if you don't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna but it is true. And like everybody, there will be people that will try to bring you down. I've had people try to bring me down. I've had people tell me I'm not good enough. I've had people tell me that my ideas weren't good and that I'm a sexist and that there's a lot of things that I do that are wrong. And at the end of the day, the question is, do I honestly believe what I'm doing is wrong? Do I think that what I'm doing is what all these people, what some of these people are telling me? No, I don't. Because I'm sticking true to myself, and I'm trying to tell stories that are my truth, right? So if people are going to try to tell me that what I'm trying to say about myself and about my life isn't true, then I'm letting them win.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was this has been our, I don't know, most emotional episode so far.
Oh, I tend to have that effect. I'm sorry.
Yes, you have that.
Well, yeah, it's tough. I mean, we're all in the same boat, right? We're all still we're just trying to make a career out of what we love doing.
But even though that, like, that we are all on the same boat and that everyone struggles and everyone has their own issues, for some reason, when you are, I don't know, like on your own, on your computer, or I don't know, you tend to think that you are the only one going through that. Like, like, if I do this, no one is gonna know about my work and I'm just gonna go back home. I don't know, like, you tend to, like you said, like, to overthink way too much. And I don't know, like it's one thing to say it and another thing to do it. But I don't know, like, just to, instead of spending that much time of trying to put yourself down, because there's going to be plenty of people out there that are going to try to do that. So might as well not be you, the one doing that, and spend more of that time creating. So, yeah, I just wanted to thank you so much, because that's what I do. Like, I tend to think I'm the only one, but now that I hear it, now at least I know there's two of us, and I know there's more.
There's a lot. We're all insecure, and we're all uncomfortable in our own skin, and that's the important thing too about putting yourself out there and pitching. Like, if you're afraid of talking in public and you're like, I don't want to put my stuff out there because I don't want to be up there and embarrass myself. Well, like, you're never going to grow. And as a person as well, as a filmmaker, if you don't put yourself in situations that make you uncomfortable. So it's important to go for those opportunities when they're available to you, and, like, do the research, find places to pitch your stories to, and to get your voice heard. Because if you sit there and sabotage yourself over and over and over again, then you're going to end up the person that you were afraid of becoming.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Heather. It was really great, this conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Heather. It was very nice to talk to you.
Yeah, it was great to talk to you too. I'm sorry if I made you sad.
No.
No, okay. Not like, we got emotional. We never said sad.
Yeah, exactly. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to give us a review and share this with someone you think might need it.
Also, share with us your favorite quote.
You can find more information about the podcast and our guests on the website FilmStruggles.com.
Remember to follow us at FilmStruggles on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Thank you for listening.
See you next week with a new guest
and a brand new struggle.
FilmStruggles is hosted, produced, and edited by Claudia Hernandez Barragan and Gabriel Sousa Nunes.
Executive producer is Gerson Carranza and sound design by Sebastian Sagastumi.